Thank you, everybody, for being here, and welcome. My name is Eileen Gagney. I'm an architect by trade, a former general contractor and home inspector. And and I'd like to share with you the story of my dream. And where's the clicker? Nope, that's not it. Can I go forward on this? Yeah, there we go. So 20 years ago, I bought this house. And when I bought the house, I drove my realtor crazy. I looked at 100. Okay? So I was like, do I want to come home to a project? No, I wanted to come home to a finished home. Needless to say, I came home to a project. So when I first bought it, yeah, there were some issues. It had a 70% efficient oil furnace, old ductwork in the basement that, they used the floor joists of the first floor as the return on it. It's okay, honey. The roof had 3 layers on it requiring a tear off. The pine tree you see on the right there had overhung the house, and needless to say, we discovered some carpenter ant damage, but it had what was called a guaranteed basement waterproofing system in it, supposedly. Okay, so what you see here is what I bought, okay? On the bottom left is the crawl space. Now, when I first bought it, it did not have vents. The posts you see there were all rotten at the bottom, and I had actually jacked up on either sides, took the post out, cut off the rot, and then put in the concrete pads, and added the ventilation because, as you see from the mud on the floor, there was a little bit of a moisture issue. On the top one, that's the west wall of the basement. Now, the first thing I could do was seismically retrofit it, which I did, but this house is also part of a national study. And when they did the first blower door test, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an energy audit of your home. And what they do is they put a fabric door in the front door with this giant fan in it, which sucks all the air out to see how leaky it is. When they did that, it blew the basement door open. Okay, you could see through that. Okay, so it just had a few little issues. Okay, so this is what you see now. The bottom left is the crawl space. That is the furnace part of my heat pump, and all the exterior walls have been air sealed and insulated. That's pond liner on the ground. Nothing comes up through that, and if it did, there is a fan that exhausts 24/7 out. So it's completely conditioned. Beautiful. Up top, that now is my basement, and that you see there is my grandmother's antique furniture, which ironically I didn't want to store in there because of the moisture issues, and at the storage unit where it was stored developed moisture issues and was covered with mold. That's another story, okay? It's been cleaned thanks to their cleaning bill, okay? But all this storage has been added. All the exterior walls perimeter walls have been air sealed and insulated, and it is dry as a bone. The concrete floor has been sealed, and as you can see by this next slide, so that's a pre and a post of the northwest corner. So everything down there had to be put up on blocks because the guaranteed waterproofing system never worked. So in February, when the ground got saturated, the water would perk up through the floor and the cat would drink off the floor. Right? Then I came home one day from a business trip and found Barbara on her knees in 2 inches of water bailing with my kitchen pan in the basement. And I went over to the sump pump and hit the arm and just went away. Hence the desire for a passive system that has now been installed, which is part of what you see on the right. So those are the inverters from the solar panels that have been installed. The passive interior perimeter drainage system necessitated a footing, which is also what you see there, because back in 1916, they didn't believe in footings. Go figure, all right? So that had to be installed first. Everything, once again, has been air sealed, insulated, and finished. And at the top, the flooring underneath the exterior deck has been air sealed and insulated as well. What you see here is I did not want to change out the windows. For one thing, The payback cost is about length of time is about 60 years. I'm not going to be around in 60 years. So what I did have installed, and I wanted to maintain the character of the home because it's a beautiful home. So these are interior storm window systems that have been installed. Beautiful system, about $5,000 instead of $45,000 or $50,000. They work beautifully. Here, this is what we now have. 2011, the electricity and oil heating bill was $3,100. As of September 2015, there's a $361 Seattle City Light credit, $3,700 City Light rebate, and a $12,000 federal tax credit.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not just from the solar panels, it's also from the air sealing and insulating and the Indo windows that I had installed, but also getting rid of the oil furnace, putting in a new hermetically sealed ducting system. Oh, and when they took the old duct system out, what they found in the return duct, they had used it as a time capsule. Inside were some girly pictures, of course, right? Right? As well as, yeah, they were, it was great. I have them. As well as a handmade bamboo fly rod. Tucked inside, yes. Isn't that sweet, right? So you never know what you're going to find, right? Sometimes you get treasures and sometimes you get trash. In this case, he got both. Okay? So, as in this fall, and that's the compressor for the heat pump. So I have one heat pump that runs the first and second floor. On the second floor, I have a ductless mini split, which replaced the baseboard electric heater, right? So all of these things contributed to the energy savings that you saw, right? So also the city of Seattle had this amazing rebate for rain gardens. I live in Ballard. Guess what? We're trying to save the salmon. So the water that drains off the roof now comes down and collects in the rain garden and works beautifully. The pine tree that used to be such a headache for myself and the neighbor was taken down, and its trunk and branches used in the design of the rain garden, right? We're reusing, we're being completely sustainable here. So here's the house now. So the pine tree is down, the rain garden's installed. On the inset, you can see the solar panels with a passive ventilation system upstairs. And one of the added benefits of going totally electric, not only am I not contributing to fracking or any kind of oil in the Middle East, but we have a completely sustainable house that's green and healthy. So my intent is to use the home as an educational model to show how to affordably and effectively create a healthy, energy efficient, and sustainable home that will last for another 100 years. Now, I want to thank, this was not done by just me alone. I had lots of friends and colleagues and contractors, and I want to thank them. But I also want to thank Barbara, who, in spite of questioning my sanity multiple times, had faith in me and my dream. Thank you.